Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here. It is September 2022, which means it's time for a new Best Wild Decks video. I've got 22 decks to share. We're going to go in order of class, and we begin with Aggro Demon Hunter. Now this list is just changing constantly week to week, and this specific build is a 40 card build. So you've got your typical low-end aggressive Demon Hunter stuff, which is always great. And then, as you can see, it doesn't even run Kurtrus. It just tops out at Crixus and Razorglaive Sentinel. And you basically just go face, face, face. Be annoying with things like Cult Neophyte, for example, to delay a little bit. Glide to shuffle your opponent's hand away. And just do a lot of face damage. Looking at Druid, we've got, first of all, Reno Druid. So again, this is a 40 card Reno Druid. There's a lot of stuff going on in this list, but the big thing is the Sire Denathrius, because you've got cards like Raid Boss Onyxia, Scale of the Onyxia, you've got the Otters card in here. There it is, Flipper Friends. So you can pump out a lot of damage very quickly. Of course, Guff is core to the deck. It lets you get up to 20 mana. And it's just a solid value deck. Even with the Topior, to get 3/3 whelps whenever you cast nature spells, you just basically always have a board. You always have a lot of armor. And it's a pretty fun and unique deck to play. Next up we have Ramp Druid. So again, this is another 40 card deck. It's a little bit similar to the Reno deck we just saw, but it's running duplicates, which probably makes it a little bit more consistent. And in the top end here, again, you've got the Sir Denathrius, you've got the Topior. So very similar to the previous deck, it's just not a Highlander build. Looking at a Hunter, we have Beast Hunter. Now, as you can see, I don't own Wild Spirits yet. It's a 3-mana spell. Summon 2 different dormant wild seeds. Make your wild seeds awaken 1 turn sooner. Basically, this is all just about throwing out little dirtly beasts and eventually getting lots of charge off the Tundra Rhino, drawing lots of cards off Starving Buzzard, and just doing a lot of damage out of nowhere to your opponent. We've also got Reno Hunter, another 40 card build. So this specific build is a beast-based Reno Hunter. A lot of the time when I feature Reno Hunter lists, I feature secret ones, but this beast one looked very intriguing. It's running the legendary Aralon, 5-mana 4/5 Battlecry, summon 1 of each dormant wild seed. You've got your top end of Dino Tamer Bran, Hydrolodon. I like the Cornelius Roam for card draw. I think that's a pretty cute idea. But otherwise, if you want to try something different, a little bit challenging to pilot, this is definitely a deck that I think you'll have some fun with. Looking at Mage, Secret Mage. It's back, but it's in 40 card form. So if you have a little scan through here, it just looks like your everyday run-of-the-mill Secret Mage list. Because you're running 40 cards, it makes sense to run Alaneth, because typically when you're running 30 card decks, the Alaneth very quickly throws you into fatigue. 40 cards gets you around that. Lets you include a lot more secrets that you wouldn't normally put in the deck. And the Selfless Sidekick's kind of cute. 7-mana 6/6 Battlecry, equip a random weapon from your deck. So if you didn't draw the Alaneth, that's a nice way to get it equipped. Got Quest Mage. It's the Quest Mage that we've all learned to hate, or at least in my opinion. It's basically, if you know how to pilot correctly, you can take multiple turns in a row, 5, 6, 7 turns in a row. It's running Solid Alibi, which is kind of cute. Until your next turn, your hero can only take 1 damage at a time. It's kind of like a pseudo 3rd and 4th ice block. But yeah, this is a really strong deck. It's kind of annoying. Hopefully they do another nerf to open the Waygate in some way. Moving on to Paladin. Only one Paladin deck. featuring my own build. This is my take on Odd Paladin. I really like this build. I took it to Legend last month. So the text that I like is I like to run the 1 Smothering Starfish. It's just a nice tech against Big Priest, against taunts if you have lethal. I really like running the 2 Traveling Merchants. I would never keep this in the mulligan, but quite often if I happen to have it in my hand and I have got a good board, I'm perfectly happy slamming it down on turn 3. And I also only like running 1 Blessing of Authority. Some people like to run 2. I find it really clunky. 1 has been working pretty well for me. Moving on to Priest. We've got Big Priest. So Big Priest, nothing's really changed about it. Illuminate's insane if you can get the Shadow Essence off it. As for the minions, 1 Bloody Cahoon, 1 Neptulon is good enough. That's all you need. You just high roll, get these out as early as possible, and smack your opponent a lot. Reno Priest. Now, I know in a previous video I said you should play the 30 card Reno Priest, and that's still personally my preference as well. But if anyone knows Memnarch, he's an excellent player. He's always top legend, and he's been rocking with this 40 card Reno list. It's very similar to the 30 card list, just has 10 more cards. Some of those extra cards, for example, are the Cathedral of Atonement, which I'm a big fan of. I like that one a lot. It is running... I think the 30 card one may run Soul Mirror as well. This Blackwater Behemoth is now spaced to run that, which is nice. Waste Warden is in here as a tech against even Shaman. So there's all sorts of goodies in here. Definitely a really strong and fun take on Reno Priest. And last we've got Combo Priest. Now, Combo Priest, the one if you follow these videos on a monthly basis, the best deck videos, the previous Combo Priest I featured wasn't running any new cards, and I was a bit disappointed by that. This one, though, does run new cards. It runs the Cathedral of Atonement, which, as I said before, for Reno Priest, big fan. And it also runs Boon of the Ascended, which I probably need to craft. It's a 4 mana holy spell, give a minion +2 health, summon a Kyrian with its stats and taunt. That's pretty good against aggro. You know, you might be buffing up, say, a Crab Rider or even a Cleric. Getting that taunt is a pretty big deal. I also like the inclusion of Blade Master Samaru as a board clear, and it's got a very Combo Priest friendly stat line. Moving to Rogue. There's more Rogue than I was anticipating. So first of all, Edwin Rogue. Why is Edwin Rogue a thing? Well, Edwin Defies Kingpin got buffed to a 3 mana 3/3, making it significantly stronger than when it was a 4 mana 4/4. This specific list, it's a quirky one. Typically when I see lists running Scabs and Tenwu of the Red Smoke, it's kind of got that Pillager Rogue feel to it, but instead of going with the lots of damage out of nowhere, it's all about making a super crazy board out of nowhere and doing a lot of damage. Also, the Sinstone Graveyard is pretty nuts because you're playing so many cards in a turn. You then get a big giant stealthed minion, which is always nice. Kingsbane Rogue. Kingsbane Rogue has been slowly trickling back into the meta. It's been trickling back into the meta as a 40 card deck though, which I think is kind of weird. But otherwise, if you have a look through the list, it's a pretty sensible list. It's just Kingsbane Rogue, but it's running 40 cards. There's nothing. Yes, you got the Sinstone Graveyard again because he plays so many cheap cards. You got the Edwin in here. I actually really want to test this list myself. I haven't tried it, but it looks really fun. Is it better than Pirate Rogue? No, it's not. But if you want to go back to the old days of Kingsbane, this will be a great way to do it. Pillager Rogue. Again, nothing special about the list. It's the same list we've been seeing for ages. Basically, you do a lot of crazy things, and then you smack your opponent with the Spectral Pillager, and a lot of the time you can just one turn kill them. Pirate Rogue. So Pirate Rogue, this is an interesting list. I tested this list myself, and I think I went like 6-1 or something. But what's really interesting about this list is it doesn't run Mr. Smite, which I'm not against. It is a 7-drop. 7 drops are expensive. It's running Theatar, which is a really nice tech. If there's, you know, say you're against a Shadowwalk Shaman, or you just want to get a card out of your opponent's hand, you know you don't want them to play. It's running the Edwin, which again is just a crazy card. Why wouldn't you run it? Amalgam of the Deeps, that's been kind of in and out of the Pirate Rogue lists. But I like the single Door of Shadows. I think this is a kind of a cool inclusion. It's very easy to infuse this. You only have to lose 2 minions on your board when this is in your hand. The only spell in the deck is Secret Passage, but who wouldn't want to draw Secret Passage, get a copy of it, and play the copy? It's insane. So I think that's a really cool inclusion in the deck. Moving on to Shaman. Got free Shaman. Still alive and strong. Again, I featured a similar list in a previous video, though this is the list I tend to queue into the most. These really heavy Murloc lists. So running the Flurgle, the Clownfish, Twin Fin, Fin Twin, Scargill, Gorlock Ravager, Mutinous. So lots of Murlocs. There's no like Murloc synergy. It's not Murloc Shaman, but there are just so many good control Murlocs for Shaman now that a lot of people are including all of them. Also, the single Bloodlust is kind of interesting. That's something I haven't seen too much. But otherwise, and you're also not running the Snowfall Guardian. And I mean, it got nerfed anyway, but it's not terrible. So I guess this isn't really a free Shaman anymore. I guess you freeze with the Sleepbreaker. And you freeze with these. So we can still call it free Shaman, or you can call it Shadowwalk Shaman. But definitely, I queue into this deck a lot. And I usually lose to it because I play aggro. Overload Shaman, still going strong. Overload Shaman, I forget what got nerfed to. Oh yeah, it was the Lightning Bloom that hurt the deck. It's still not terrible. Again, you just kind of all in on the Spirit of the Frog. As for new cards, you've got the Scalding Geyser, which is a nice one. That's not that new. That's Sunken City. It's new-ish. You've got the Ashen Elemental, 3 mana, 2/4 Battlecry. When your opponent draws a card next turn, they take 2 damage. Kind of a cute tech against Mage. But otherwise, if you want to play some Overload Shaman, the deck is not dead. It's still going pretty well. Then we've got Even Shaman. Even Shaman is an incredibly strong deck now. Definitely tier 1. This specific list is a little different to what I'd normally see. So it's running the Amalgam of the Deep. Some lists do, some lists don't. Kind of like the whole Pirate Rogue situation. This list is running Crackle. Traditionally, Even Shaman always ran Crackle, but a lot of players are cutting it now. I don't like the Trick Totem in this list at all, but this list hit High Legend by a good player. But I don't like Trick Totem at all. It always messes me up. But this list is running it. The Cornelius Rome is interesting. I think that's a good inclusion, actually, because Even Shaman has a serious issue with card draw. And Cornelius Rome, definitely, at least you get a couple cards out of it if it doesn't die in one turn. Moving on to Warlock. Mecha'thun Warlock. This specific list, it's pretty optimized. I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Mecha'thun because I don't like the archetype, but I'm a fan of this specific build. I think the Tome Tampering is really cool. Being able to shuffle all your cards into your deck and make them cost 1. You could then technically make them all cost 0 off the Ruined and Mythful Rod, which is pretty nuts. The Valdris Felgorge is an interesting inclusion. I think because you're drawing a lot in this build, it makes sense to include it. But if you don't own this card, don't craft it. Just put in a Mortal Coil or something. It's fine. But otherwise, it's Mecha'thun Lock. It's a good deck. Even Lock, big fan of this one. It's in my favorite Warlock deck personally. Again, this is another deck I would say is tier 1. It's only running one new card, Theatar the Mad Duke, because the card's insane. But if you don't own it, that's okay. Throw in something else. It's up to you. But otherwise, very strong list. And this one I have not tried, and I can't comment much on it because I don't know what's going on with it. So this is Curse Warlock. I believe this list hit #1 Legend. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the curses, basically they're cards that you put in your opponent's hand and your opponent takes damage from those cards. They take more damage if they don't play it. I think they cost 2 mana, the curses, maybe 1. But this specific list, it's got the Giants Warlock thing going on in the top end. It's also a 40 card deck, so this is kind of like a hybrid Giants Lock and Curse Warlock. Very interesting. I'll probably have to craft this. I definitely want to try it, but it definitely, at least on my end, looks pretty weird. And last but not least, we have a single warrior deck. No, it's not Pirate Warrior. It's Enraged Warrior. Lots of people have been having success with this list. I wouldn't rate it as like a high like meta breaking deck, but it's something fun. Again, it's quirky to play, but you can buff your hand a lot with stuff. You can draw a lot of cards, gain a lot of armor, and do a lot of damage. So if you really need to play warrior, give this one a try. It's also a relatively cheap deck to play. It's only got 1 legendary, the Ankar, so it's very free to play friendly as well. So there you go. 22 decks to play with in Wild. If you want to give them a try yourself, you'll find all the deck codes in the description below. If you are a mobile user and it is difficult for you to copy those deck codes, there is an easy to enter link to my Discord. Visit the Deck Lists Only channel. You will find all the deck codes there. If you want to help support this channel, you can click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and until next time, hope to see you again.